We're ready.
All right. Let's call the meeting of October 7th to order here. Where we start here? What we do first?
Public comment.
Yes.
We're looking at the right one.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. Previous minute. Do we have any public comment this morning before we get started?
So just to clarify, this is for any item that's not on today's agenda, this general public comment.
Okay. No. What's next? Where am I? Okay, there we go. You think I know by now. All right, do you have an agenda status report for today?
Just one change. Item number C1, the consent agenda item. The applicant requested that the item be, I think, with a straw fit today. Then she's not quite ready with the details yet. And we'll just reschedule it when she's ready.
That's the cut leaf grading and site improvements. Okay, so we'll skip that and go right to approving the minutes from the 23rd. Any comments on the minutes from the board members?
We didn't have many comments until the last item.
Want to go to the last item?
Oh, well, actually,
Item three.
number 3 has something, yeah.
We have our planner with us on the line today.
Alex is here.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm here.
yeah, Alex, good morning. What do we got there? Mr. Joe?
Oh, nothing.
Okay, so nothing on item 3. Item 4. I'm happy with that, those minutes. And it looks pretty well crafted there. Item 5. Detail package. Item 6. Anything on item 7, folks?
No.
Okay. Anything on 9? A couple notes there.
Number 9.
Number 10.
Fine.
Pretty simple notes this time. So let's go to item 11. This is our,
It looks good. That's what we said, I think.
I don't have any concern with that. All right, so
I make a motion to approve the minutes as drafted.
can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approving the minute? The motion carries.
That might be my first A+ score. I don't know. Take it.
Make it run. Blue ribbon. All right, so any staff member informational briefings, anything going on? This is out today.
Yeah. Item 6, I need to step down from, and we're potentially gonna have a quorum issue because, so hopefully we can have it land after Alex gets back and before you.
Okay, so let's keep an eye on item 6.
Yeah, I'm going to leave at 10 minutes to 10 and come back at about 11 or so.
Okay, in case we go long today, I have to leave here no later than 1 o'clock. So if so, I have John here jump in as chair.
Oh, boy.
Since there's proximity. All right. Anyway, we're glad to have you back, John. Hope you're
Thank you.
doing well. All right, let's move on with our agenda. Okay.
I do have one quick staff update.
Yes, please.
I just received an email forward this morning from Jessica Metzger, who is a project planner at the Santa Barbara Airport. And I just want to give you a heads up on this. I'll just briefly read this. It's like you may briefly heard in the community, we are working on the terminal expansion and parking garage approved in our existing 2017 master plan. We are at a stage where we would like to convene a very informal work group to give us feedback on some design concepts. I would like to request one volunteer from your South Board of Architecture Review via email, as I'm doing for the City of Goleta and our Historic Landmarks Commission and Architectural Review Board. I'm thinking the commitment will be about 6 to 8 hour long meetings over the next 4 months, but we won't make dates till we have members to try to work with everyone's schedule. So if that's something that interests you.
You can clarify, 6 hour meetings or 6 to 8?
She says about 6 to 8 hour long meetings.
1 hour.
That's how it's worded.
Okay, now that makes more sense.
Yeah.
The airport is a city property that's reviewed by the ABR, right?
Yes,
And this is a planner from the city.
yes.
I ain't helping them. They'll help me.
I volunteer,
I knew you would.
but I mean, somebody else wants to do it. I've
I'm
done
all-
all of these things before, so.
County versus city.
Architecture, right?
It's kind of like
not tech.
USC versus UCLA. I don't want to get involved.
So I'll formally send something out. I just want to give you a heads up on that.
All right. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, let's get on to our agenda here. We have item number 1, the Knight Family Trust. Do we have our applicants with us today? We have the speaker set up at the podium yet?
So,
So wait a minute, are you, I think you're looking
Sorry, it was-
at the minutes, right?
I popped up the wrong one. Sorry. Hold on.
Yeah. Look at the minutes.
Yeah. Second here. They do that.
it's an interesting item. I think it has more
Yeah, this is the one.
megs. I mean, it's the 160 megs for the 160 square foot addition. So it's kind of like one meg per square
Yeah,
foot.
that's a new costing device.
All right, let's try this again. Item number one, the Coombra Country Club Kitchen Edition. Do we have our applicants here with us?
They should be here via Zoom. I see Mr. Werner, Russell Werner.
Yes. All right, do you have the online, just when you get connected here, state your name for the record and give us a brief presentation.
Are you here for item number one as well? Okay, here, I can put it here, Mike.
Russ, you out there?
You guys making the presentation today? Okay, go ahead and state your name for the record, speak really loudly and give us a presentation of your project, please.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Haley Kolasaiki, and I'm with Suzanne Elledge Planning and Permitting Services. We're here before you today representing the Coombra Country Club, who is here with a modest, approximately 250 square foot addition and enclosure to an existing outdoor pool, bar and kitchen. And the intention of this is to add more operational space for an existing pool, bar, and kitchen that they have today. And many of you on this board may remember that this item came before you in 2016 and was reviewed by your board for final approval. So again, our intention is to be provide a design that's consistent with what was recently approved. And Jesse will be walking you through the plans.
My name is Jessie Finicum Schwartz. I'm with
You're gonna have to speak up a lot more than that, sorry.
my name is Jessie Finicum Schwartz. I'm with Anacapa Architecture, and I'll be presenting the architectural design today. I think we can probably start with page 4 and just take a look at the existing conditions briefly. I know you have looked at it recently, but it has been a while, so I think that would be helpful. If we look at number 3 on the top right of this sheet, that is a view. Number 3 is right there. That is a view of the outside of the pool enclosure. So you can see kind of a round piece there. The addition is going to be immediately to the right of that for the project. Or I guess enclosure of the existing kitchen area, I should say. If you look at number 4 and 5, which are in the middle left of the page, this is just indicating the existing conditions of the dining and bar area. We are not making any modifications to these outward facing areas of the project. Page number 4, number 9, and the mid right is a view of the project from the clubhouse. And if you look past, see the large cluster of umbrellas to the left, the enclosure will be just behind those umbrellas there. And then number 11 on this sheet indicates the, it's just a little bit closer view of the area of work over to the left behind the umbrellas. Page number 5, if we look at number 4, you can clearly see this blue tile and yellow tile element. This is the existing outdoor kitchen that we are proposing to enclose and rework. It's shown a little more closely on view number 5, immediately to the right here. There's existing sinks, a gas pizza oven, a little trellis structure, and then this concrete countering. And then number 6 just kind of gives you an idea of it's basic concrete back there and kind of standard equipment.
Right, so I have a suspicion that this isn't a very controversial project here. Let's move quickly through the floor plans and elevations. Let's see if we have any questions, but this is a very modest modification. So I just want to speed this up here.
This is the
You already reviewed the documents, right?
Yeah.
perfect. Page number 10 is the floor plan. You can see the darkest area there is our work.
Move fast. We already seen it. Go to page 14.
Okay.
I think this is very well documented. So there we go. That's pretty much what we're looking at, folks. So
So top is the existing, bottom is proposed. As you can see, we are doing a gable roof matching the style of the existing, low slope.
Does everything match existing on the project?
Yes.
Okay, so any questions from the board?
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any public comment? Okay, comments from the board?
Good to move to consent for preliminary and final.
Any other discussion on the matter? Okay, so we'll see it consent come with everything you need to get a final approval.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Bam, get out of here. Next. So when you do good documents, you get speedy service. And get out of here. All right,
There's a planner memo for this one.
okay, I was just looking at that. So we're on to item 2, Muerte Trust Planner Memo. Let's see what we have here. This is from the planner folks. Please comment on if this modification is minor in nature and will result in a better site or architectural design and or will result in greater resource protection than the project without such modification. Oh, interesting. Okay, so you guys get all that?
Yeah.
All right. Do we have our applicants here? There he is. Go ahead and state your name for the record. And
Hi there, Kevin Moore, architect for the owner. So we're returning after a couple of weeks to add some information to the elevations. So if we could flip to those sheets. If you recall, the addition from the street side is limited to this little piece right here, the existing residence. And then from the west elevation, this little piece right here. You had asked us to put that 25-foot height line on all the elevation drawings. So if you zoom in there, it's right there. It's there. And then on the west elevation down below, it is there. And if you recall, this property was not in the coastal zone. Now it is in the coastal zone. So the height limit dropped to 25 feet. The bulk of the existing house is above that already. We did an addition and remodel a few years back where we added on and we got the same modification to get to a sloped roof that matched the existing. Go to the next sheet. You can see there's that line there again. So we're approximately, it looks like 3 foot. Does that say 3'6" there? Yeah, 3'6" above the current height limit for the property. But you can see that a good portion of the existing residence is at this proposed height or above it. So if there's, I believe those were your comments from last time. So you can take any questions.
any questions from board members? Thank you. Mark, you have any public comment today on this item? Anybody online, any letters? Nope.
No speakers left. If anyone present wants to, online wants to speak on this item, just raise your hand and we'll call on you.
Okay, so if anybody pops in, we'll jump them in, but having heard none, let's move it back to the board for comments. We're here on further conceptual with the possibility of preliminary approval today. So, any comments about what we saw last time to this?
Well, I wish that the drawing were a little bit more cleaned up, all the extraneous lines and I think what we ask is a section showing in section what exactly is it above the 25-foot limit.
We have a section.
It's on A302, drawing number 4.
That one right there.
Yeah, down there in the bottom corner.
And where is the grade? The grade is flat. The grade is great because the grade is not flat, right? I mean, like section to the side. Look, bottom line, what this project has going for it is that it has minimal visibility and history and so forth. I really don't have any problem with the modification. I think it's a handsome design and so forth. I just wish that the documents were a little bit more clean, but good enough, I guess.
Okay, any other comments today? Anything else to add? Anybody in the mood to make?
Well,
Oh, here we
I'd
go.
like to add, I like the design. It's very eclectic and reminds me of some Paris rooftop, thing, which is
Yeah.
really charming.
I thought Kevin should wear some Mardi Gras beads.
Next time.
It's like a good party. It's a beautiful design. All right, well, is anybody interested in making a motion for preliminary approval?
Well, I will.
All right, do
Make
I
a
have
motion for preliminary approval.
as submitted? Any,
Finding that it will result in better architectural design or,
I'm gonna
Yeah.
take that as a second.
yeah.
So, so I think the comment that we want to carry, Mr. Tuttle, is the board can support the modification and make the findings for good architecture.
I think
Yeah,
so.
no, yeah, it's minor.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. You done? Favor? Okay, opposed? Abstain, motion carries. Good
you.
job.
I
Thanks.
think it could
Is that-
be written on consent.
Yeah,
but I
Oh,
think-
yeah, let's have this back on consent for final, please.
Try
Thanks.
to clean up, eliminate extraneous information if possible, if at all possible.
try.
Thank you. Next. Have a good weekend. All right, Montecito Ranch new residents, item number 3. We have a lot of public comment letters here, or no, one. So does everybody have a chance to review that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Stroh is online.
All right, so we have Mr. Stroh. Morning.
Good morning, members of the board. Where I'm at the moment, my internet connection seems to be cutting in and out. So hopefully if it sounds like you missed something, please ask me to repeat it. So, the last time we had this house in front of the board, we had it well up the hillside. We had a bunch of terraces and a bunch of, and the board basically kind of came back and said, pal, and down, and you need to simplify, and you need to add some landscaping, and you need to kind of just get this thing less massive on the hillside. And then there was a secondary question in that regarding some of the Summerlin community plan specific requirements for this particular parcel, which is named individually within the white hole section of the Summerlin community plan. And so I'm prepared to talk about that as well today. So primarily what we've done is if you could go to the site plan, please, which I believe is sheet number 4. That's the existing one.
You want 5?
5, sorry. Yeah, AS 102. So you can see the site is at one point, the site was benched and significantly graded. I really have no idea when that occurred in the last 25 or 40 years. And we're trying to both build a house on this site and also to kind of return some of the topography to a little bit more of a natural kind of feel. And the last presentation we came through and we were pushed all the way up against the rear setback. trying to gain as much view as we could. We had a porte cochere through the garage, so we had a whole other motor court added on. And then to get down to the bottom of the hill, as it were, we had about 4 levels of terraces to get down to the pool level and the landscaped level. We've kind of done away with a lot of that. And the first thing we did is we eliminated the second motor court. We eliminated the porte cochere, which we moved the house approximately 60 feet to the south and 16 feet down vertically, which made so by those 3 moves, we eliminated about 1/3 of the grading we were expecting on this project. And so what that allowed us to do was, now that we basically, the house now sits almost at the bottom of the existing of the existing slope. And so we were able then to, whatever dirt we're using for the motor court cut and the residence cut, the basement cut, we now are able to feather around the lower terraces and basically just sort of nestle. The pool is now at grade. We've got a bocce ball court. We've started to kind of articulate how this would sit on the site. And did you guys lose me?
Yeah,
can you guys hear me?
You went into a tunnel through space and time. We need to.
Sorry.
It's okay. I think I don't know what you were trying to say, but go back about 3 stanzas. Yeah, say no.
Okay.
Here we go again.
Essentially, we moved the house 60 feet to the south. We dropped it 16 feet. You guys can't hear me?
No, we can't.
Can you guys hear me? Okay.
You got the 16 feet. I think
yes.
You made your case. You definitely redesigned. You can see kind of the difference there. Maybe could you quickly just go to the site sections that you have? Because I think those do a lot towards your discussion of how to
yes. So I believe it's the next sheet.
13, I think.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just check in with the board since your sound's going out. Does everybody understand what they're looking at here?
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, Mike, I think we're gonna take another swing at this. I'm looking at comments from the last time, kind of extensive. So massing is excessive. You covered that. You can see you're making an effort to mend that. Project needs more undulation, breaking up of elevations to be consistent with bridge lines. So we'll see how the board responds to that. Design guidelines. So you were kind of told it was a little formal and lacking variety. There was an extensive amount of retaining walls noted. You want to talk about the retaining walls real quick, what you've done there to reduce that?
So we've reduced the number of tall retaining walls in the back of the garage area, and we've got some terracing back there that will do that. And then above kind of the main section of walls, just because of the way the site drains, we're going to put in, and they'll be right now they're kind of drawn as L-shaped, but as we work with our landscape architect, we're going to go with something a little bit more organic, of just some stacked stone walls. And we think we'll probably need 2 or 3 of those to just kind of shape the upper slope so that we can work on erosion and just drainage. And then because they'd be terraced, obviously they would be heavily planted as well.
Yeah. Why don't we also get this onto the landscape plan, and let's talk about the comment about the transition to pool deck. It came up in the last meeting. Position be.
We had we had multiple terraces the last time. I think we had 3 separate levels as you get down to the pool level. We've eliminated all of that and gone to a flat deck that sits at the bottom of the house, and the pool is at that level. It's elevated slightly off of the green space to the south, which will, as we develop the landscape plan, become a very formal garden. And remember, the last time we actually were looking at doing like a rill system that would come down, a little water feature that would come down as well. The future ADU that is shown on my site plan here actually will be buried in the site so that it'll have a green roof, so that these two will tie together from a landscape standpoint, but you won't have a big building standing down there at the bottom.
Okay.
Can we go to the renderings? It should be towards the end.
Okay, so Mike, you didn't bring a landscape plan, is that correct?
I did not. We chose to come back because we wanted to talk about stylistically. We wanted to make sure that we could lock in the location of the house and sort of the siting of things before we spent a bunch of money on landscaping and civil plans. So we just wanted to come back first.
Right.
And I talked to, I asked Chris Gilliland if that was okay, and he said yes. And so that's why we're back before you today.
Yeah, that's fine. Make sure you had a chance to present that if you had it. Look, I think we've got enough information to move forward here today. So let's see if we have questions first before we do any more presenting.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, what do you got, Val?
I'd like to hear what Michael says about the style of it in terms of the Summerlin design guidelines.
Okay, so Michael, the question is really to speak about how you've complied with the Summerlin design guidelines with regard to architectural style.
Okay, so the Summerlin design guidelines pin this property within what's called the large lot exception area, which are specifically allowed to do Spanish and Mediterranean style. They are not limited to the bungalows and Monterey and contemporary styles that we see in urban Summerlin. And so because of that, now there are provisions in there that talk about having great landscaping and trying to minimize changes to the natural topography, and then that you need earth tones and trying to minimize vertical faces, but also that, materiality, and it would be nice to have, like a stone base and another material at the upper level, which is what we've done here. We've started to articulate those details. And then specifically in the community plan, this lot has some very specific requirements that basically just says findings, but it's related to the Summerlin rural community as opposed to the Summerlin urban community. So we feel that the style is more than appropriate for what is allowed in Summerlin rural as well as in the large lot exception area, and it's specifically codified in the design guidelines and the Summerlin community plan. It does say, because we do have some development on some existing slopes that are over 20%, mainly for the motor court in the back, that we have to provide a geologic investigation, and that's fine. We've already gotten that underway. But beyond that, it's really about it's about preservation of natural contours and drainage patterns and existing trees. Well, there aren't any existing trees, and the site has already been graded. We're actually trying to return it to something that's a little bit more natural looking than this, 25% grade down into this flat benched site. And
right.
so that's really it.
All right. So does that answer your question, Val?
Yeah.
Any others? All right, Alex.
I have a question. You did change the railings at the center piece of the south elevation. I didn't quite get it. I didn't understand exactly how you get the guardrails. Is that with vegetation? Is that what you're trying to do?
So yeah, we've done this. I've done this on a couple of houses where where you can use a water feature or a raised planter or things that are deeper than 3 feet that would allow you to forego having a guardrail on top of it. And it comes down to personal preference in terms of, whether or not somebody feels safe with that. The developer has decided that that's what they want to propose. And the nice thing, strangely enough, in Summerlin, these lots are not in high fire. So I can grow vines up the walls and down the walls and things like that. So, we do have the ability to create some really wonderful planting opportunities.
Second question, quick question. The openings seem very similar on this elevation, face south. Are they all bedrooms? Are they dining? I mean, how come different rooms have the same type of openings? I mean, just to put it bluntly, they seem to have all the same type of, like it looks like 8x8, so 10x10.
So you're talking about on the lower floor?
On the south elevation. Well, lower, yeah, the upper floor kind of. It's more understandable on the upper floor, I guess, but I was just wondering.
Right. So we needed to, we couldn't do much with the plate heights because of the, on the lower floor to kind of give different variations in height, to give that hierarchy because of the height limits on the site. But we did just we looked at this kind of holistically as, okay, so we want the bigger openings in the lower main section that pops out, which is the sort of family room area. And then there is one bedroom there that does sit in that center 3 bays. Flanking that on either side are smaller rooms. The 2 on the left are bedrooms, and the 2 on the right, one is a gym, and I believe one is a part of the home theater.
Okay, so any other questions?
Yeah, Michael, how high is that retaining wall at the
rear?
back at the rear? It looks like it's 14, 16 feet.
It's yeah, we're terracing it. I think we've got I think it works out to be about 14. We've been fighting with the grades on this site because it was so heavily graded before that 16-foot height limit just keeps coming down. And so we do have a small portion of the roof that is 400 square feet that exceeds the 19-foot height limit. But we couldn't push anything further up without altering how you would enter the house and altering the relationships between the motor court in the house and the garage in the house. So it does have a terrace wall in front of it. But yeah, I believe it's about 13 or 14 feet.
Okay, so this is the first time I see this design, guys. So it's a big house. Let's move this forward and get this process started. Any public comment on the project today? I think we had a letter from one member of the public, right?
Yeah, Mr. Evans, I have it on screen.
And this project hasn't been to the Summerlin BAR? That's a question.
It was forwarded to Summerlin BAR at their request.
Okay, so
No comments on that.
let's pull this in and start with the comments. Val, you want to go first?
Okay, could we go back to the elevations or the renderings? Maybe go to the renderings. Yeah, that's good. Right, that's good. Yeah. I appreciate that you've moved it down the hill, but this is a very challenging parcel. It's highly visible from the freeway. I drive by it every day. It has kind of the sense of being kind of a gateway to Summerlin. So in that case, it's not the same as the other Whitehole properties, most of which are on Padaro, on the bluffs, not really visible from the freeway, not very visible. This is highly visible. So it has a character that's unique. And in that event, I'm struggling with your stylistic design. And even though you've diminished the unbroken lines that you had before up on, it still reads somewhat like a hotel. It has very little undulation in the roof line and very repetitive fenestration that makes it look bigger than it is. And it's big anyway. So my feeling would be that it still needs more work to be the gateway project that it is.
All right, Mr. Peugeot.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Especially the south elevation seems to be most challenging. I think the repetitiveness of the elements is what not really working with yet.
Okay, John.
Well, I concur with that. It's this south elevation, the lower level with the repetitive thing, it does seem disconnected from the upper level. And I think that there should be some way to integrate the two to make them blend. Would be my comment.
All right, Mrs. Grubb.
I think as you study the site planning, the connection from the upper level to the pool terrace could be more intentional. It feels a little bit like it's shoved over to the side, even though that lower terrace seems very important to the function of the house. I also think as you bring on your landscape architect, studying the patio spaces to have the, maybe formal spaces around the pool that can, that are probably hardscape, that can have the more public gathering spaces, but then changing materials or breaking it up with planting somehow to get over to the bedrooms. So they would break up that repetitive elevation on the lower level.
Sure.
So I think that lower level could be helped with landscaping too, by kind of creating primary and secondary and tertiary spaces and pathways and things. So.
All right, well, I'm going to summarize by saying that I think it's kind of a new comment here, but it came up in the presentation. I think what I'm interested in is your attempt to kind of restore the site to a natural kind of setting. It was a previously, agricultural property that's been stripped bare and benched and graded and messed about. So I think, again, I agree with Ms. Grubb about landscape opportunity. I'd like to see some attempt at some sculpting of the grade, the already disturbed areas to create more undulation and natural landforms to kind of get rid of some of the flat characteristics that are kind of artificially kind of laying into the site. I think careful study of tree plantings, maybe some natives, so that it helps with this kind of framework of how frames the kind of position of the house is seen from the public view and so forth. I agree with the comment about the south-facing patio. It's a lot of hardscape there that's not highly articulated. So I would look for opportunities to add planting and maybe elevation changes and just more interest and articulation in that space, so that like this rendering we're looking at right now looks kind of, I don't think it's helping it. It's an architectural rendering. It doesn't really do justice to what I think could be done in the landscaping. So I'd like to see that studied with maybe some softening of the motor court as well, just to kind of reduce paving. So for me, architecturally, I don't have any concern about the architecture. I think it's excellent. The lower section being a dark brown color, I think helps minimize the effect from below. And I think with some more careful landscape sculpting, we could probably nestle this into the site better. I think your renderings are kind of a bit dangerous to your argument. Would be careful how you present this next time, given there's a landscape component really missing from these views that doesn't help your argument. Anyway, I think that's the comments. I was going to ask Alex Tuttle if we Kylie, have one more comment.
Just quick, specific to the retaining wall and the motor court, I would explore options for breaking up that 14-foot retaining wall just explore it with your structural engineer and landscape architect. I just wanted it to be.
Okay, Mr. Tuttle, we got a lot of discussion there and opinions and theory. Did you get any comments?
I think the one that I'm maybe if you could restate is about the sculpting of the landscape or the hardscape around the lower terrace area or something.
Yeah, I'd say that the southern end of the property, kind of between the pool deck and the hammerhead. It looks like it's all been flattened out. So look for some sculpting opportunities in the landforms there.
You
I
know,
think we're gonna want to see story.
Yeah, got that on the last. So
I'd like to just say that, Michael, even looking at the rendering of the motor court, the shadow line of the retaining wall, I mean, you're going to feel like you're in a well there. I wonder even would it be possible to remove some of that the grade that requires that high retaining wall.
remember too, it's only this one section of the house that's doing that, right? Just here. The motor court kind of, if you go to the other renderings. I don't know which one shows this. I assume that go to that section, just to John's comment, maybe in the floor plan. Yeah, so that well there is only happening at the end of the garage. Go back to the floor plan.
Yeah.
It's only happening, right, that's good. Scroll up a little, please. It's only happening right there at the end of that garage and at the back of it. The motor cord is actually sunken in there. You see what I'm saying? It's not,
Yeah.
you'd almost connect it to if you wanted, but anyway. I think story polling, I'd like to see this come back. See if
We had to do it for fire. We had to do it for fire access.
Hold on a second, Mike. I'd like to come back one more time before we talk about story polling again, right?
Yeah.
So
And
we're gonna send you off with those comments, Michael, and then have you back. We'll see where we are, and then we'll talk about story polling and where we go from there. All right.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna close discussion on this item. Any further questions, Alex Tuttle?
So here's what I got. Appreciate shifting development lower down on the site. Highly visible project requires careful study. Project has little undulation.
For the next hearing.
Hold on,
Well,
keep going, Michael. Or keep going, sorry, Alex.
Project has little undulation in roof line and repetitive fenestration that make it appear out of scale. Establish better.
Dude, come on.
Establish better integration between upper and lower levels and create better connection between upper level and lower outdoor terrace and pool area. Study of tree plantings to better frame the project. Look to create more undulating and natural landforms on the site. Study softening of motor court to reduce paving and better sculpt the hardscape terrace areas and landscape between pool deck and hammerhead. And explore options for breaking up the retaining wall at the motor court.
All right, good. All right, those are great comments. We're going to move on to the next item. Maybe you tap a note, David, to Michael, tell him to go watch the tape later if he's curious about what we said, but we're moving on. Okay, Tatum, new single family dwelling residence. All right, so this is for conceptual review of a new residence. And we have our applicants here today. And we got some, so is this popular? Okay. All right, Alex, step down. Can you take him out of the thing? It's like it's gonna keep interrupting us.
He's fine.
All right. Get into drugs, kids. That's some weird stuff. Ready?
Ready.
All right, go ahead and state your name for the record and give presentation.
Kevin Moore, architect for the owner, and then I have the owner with me here.
Taylor Tappan.
Okay, so we are looking at these two properties on Edge Mound. This is Edge Mound here. It kind of continues off and then fades out into essentially a driveway for two residents, pretty much right after our parcels. So we are these two undeveloped parcels here. And with access from Edge Mound, it's a steeply sloped site from Edge Mound down, both of these. And I apologize, I'm kind of presenting both of them at the same time, but we're this first particular project is this lot right here. And the owner is, great. Yeah, let's go to the first one though. That previous.
We've also had a chance to review these before the meeting, so.
Okay. So,
Not confusing yet.
okay, well, let's go to the photo sheet then. So the existing site, as I said, is pretty steeply sloped. There is some existing landscape elements on there that we're dealing with. But in general, this site looks out kind of northwest down that canyon, and then has some views up towards the mountain. Well, okay, we scroll down. So we have parcel 1 and parcel 2. You can see Edge Mound here kind of comes in and clips this corner of the lot here. So this is the actual paved road. Right of way extends to here. And that's the other edge of it. You can see that we have, our multiple setbacks here. So we are, if we flip to the next, on this parcel, we are meeting the front yard setback here, and you can see we're fighting the topography as it's coming down the hill. We are trying to obviously minimize the grading to the extent we can, but also to be conscious of the neighbors and their views. There are houses up the hill here that look out over this property and out over this property. And the result is that, when you're on the street here, based on our driveway slope, that we really minimize the bulk of the view of the house. Really what you would see is the garage from the street level. You can flip down to the next couple of sheets. We have some site sections to look at, I think would be helpful. Here's our height limit dashed line. You can see we're stepping down to accommodate the design within that envelope. And again, here's the street level up here at Edge Mound, and you can see that we're really minimizing the massing that's visible from the street level. Okay, continue on to the elevations. I think we had some color elevations in there as well, didn't we? Those did not make it into the set. Okay, well, that's unfortunate that we don't have those. Well, the intent is that we create a warm, modern design. So the materials will be a warm plastic color with a wood-like siding mixed in, and then a sandstone finish around the garage, which is really what's visible from. We have horizontal railing design, not sure what that will be yet. And that is the palette. We sure there aren't any
the drawing on A1.40 on just talk about your Yeah. I have, why do I have one drawing and you have two? Oh, we're looking at, which set are we looking at now?
Or
No, A 1.4.
one.
There we go. So what do we see in there?
So we're seeing the stairway that's coming down from the garage. The garage level actually continues across there. Garage.
Talk about the 27-foot height limit, how that works.
Well, so this is the existing grade.
Yes.
We're measuring from that point.
Where do you come up with 27 feet? That's not really the height limit.
Okay,
It would be 25 feet
25, sorry.
or 28 if you had a 4 and 12 pitch roof, but it doesn't look like you do.
Yeah, I don't think this is the set of drawings that we gave you, because we're missing colored elevations. And it seems like that is incorrect. So I don't think we,
Yeah, looking at the other sheet you have 25 listed.
yeah,
Maybe we should go to that sheet instead. Let's look at it from that point of view. Let's go to A 4.00. Excuse me.
Okay.
Is that mislabeled on the other sheet? Is that your thinking, or is that 25 feet? Maybe it's,
I mean, this,
let me ask it this way. Was your attempt to keep the house entirely inside of the envelope?
yes,
You're not protruding outside of the known height limit, and
correct,
that's the intent, right?
correct.
I think that answers the question. I was going to try and get you to
Sorry for the,
clarify that for us.
sorry for the confusion there.
Over here. Okay. Anything else you want to present today on this?
We can look at the elevations for the other lot.
Let's see if we have any questions first.
No, I know.
I have one
Alex?
question.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I just have a question on it. Has the property been surveyed or is it just, okay,
Yes.
so you know the real slopes that you're working with?
Yes. Since we have a lot of people who want to speak, I'm just going to go through that.
Okay.
We'll the next house after. I'll do these in order. I don't want to mix the two up. It's going to get confusing in the minutes and so forth. So we'll just have to review them individually. So I'm going to start with people that are here. I'm going to call your name out, and then we're going to give you 2 minutes to speak. That's the place to do that. Podium. Please address me, not the applicants. If you would do that, we appreciate it. Larry Stapleton would be the first. Just state your name for the record, and I'll give you 2 minutes.
Okay, my name is Larry Stapleton. I live at 2626 Montrose, just to the west of this development. Got several concerns that apply to both 172 and 173. Primarily, this is a high fire zone, and in fact, the house on my property burned during the last big fire in '09. It's a very real threat, and that road, as you've seen, kind of funnels down, and the asphalt ends right after that, and there's very little opportunity for any sort of turnaround for fire trucks. As it is now, we see that there's an ingress and egress problem with parking being at a premium. Also, this piece of land has moved in the past. These are photos from the '95 landslide. So we're concerned about drainage as well. And the site has been historically unstable. We're worried about cutting in and filling that site. This is a picture from the neighbor's house directly below lot number 1. And as part of the Mission Canyon Community Plan, It specifically states that development, including grading, shall be prohibited on natural and man-made slopes greater than 30%. So I would suggest that the board look at that. And in sum, I am pro-building. I think having a house on these two lots would be awesome. I think that the density of two homes that are roughly 3,500 square feet on these two lots is not in keeping with the density that's outlined in the Mission Canyon neighborhood guidelines. My suggestion would be that the lots be combined and perhaps build one house instead of two. That would help with the parking issue, help with the ingress and egress, and also be in keeping with the neighborhood density of the surrounding area. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The way I misspoke, I'm going to give everybody 3 minutes, but you were great. Thank you. Because that's what the piece of paper in front of you says I should give you. All right. We have another speaker here. I think it's Joe Ingram, if I'm saying that correctly.
Istrin.
Sorry?
Istrin. Joe Istrin.
Okay. Isrin. My bad. All right.
And also, I am a neighbor at 2624 Montrose Place. And again, I would consider myself pro-building, but I think the project is too big for the area. That house right above that, that's in this picture here, that's approximately 3,900 square feet on a half-acre lot, over a half-acre lot. The two lots combined from their plans are less than a half acre, and they're proposing almost 8,000 square feet, which I think is just doesn't keep with the rural style of the neighborhood. If you also go back to that picture, oh, you can go to that one there. That just shows the current density. I mean, the houses are well shaded by the vegetation. It just looks rural and feels rural. And having two houses with a decreased setback between them will appear as one giant monolith, even though they are separate. And the smaller lot at 7,000 and something square feet, it's almost over 50% structure on that. I just don't think it feels sits with the neighborhood. Also, the amount of fill involved, over 1,000 cubic yards for the one lot, the smaller lot. No place for the trucks to turn around is really going to be disruptive to the neighborhood and a safety issue. Also, there was a grove of eucalyptus trees from what the previous picture with the red arrow. I know eucalyptus trees aren't native, but they did support the other picture. They had the big arrow on it. Anyway, it did support a community of those set of trees there to the left of the arrow. There was a community of hawks, owls, different animals that lived there, and they were just cut down with, I don't think, any kind of research. And I think something should be done to kind of establish habitat for them. And I didn't see anything on the plans about night sky compliant lights. So I would request that you restudy with answers to all questions and concerns. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next we have Self or Mr. Self. I can't read this name.
Adrian.
Is it Adrian?
Adrian.
Okay. Adrian. Please.
Hi. My name is Adrian. I'm a neighbor at 2620, so I'm just a lot over from the lots proposed. I just want to say that I'm an emergency room nurse. I happened to be on shift during the Montecito mudslides. That was a terrible day, and the effects of mudslides have really stuck with me since then. When I got word of these plans for the lot, I was kind of initially shocked. One, the slope of the lot, I don't really feel like you can get from the pictures of the plans, but when you stand at 1110 Palomino, it is an intensely steep hill that you are looking up. With the history of fires, mudslides, and high seismic activities, I'm concerned that we will be kind of decreasing the stability of the hill by getting with this construction. I'm also concerned that the increased population density with a combination of the outdated roadways and insufficient access for emergency vehicles, there is great potential here to worsen an already hazardous situation. The people at 1110 Palomino have had mudslides before. They've had boulders come down the hill. once something gets moving, there is no stopping it. And that house is right at the bottom. I was a little concerned that there are no pictures of the lot from the 110 Palomino residence. It'd be interesting to see where their properties align on the lot with the consideration of 110 Palomino. The Mission Canyon plan done in 2014 said that it recommends against development on slopes that are greater than 30%. I'm not sure if I was reading this correctly, but it did note something of a 47% incline on the plans. Like, that's very steep. Again, I'm concerned for erosion, drainage, water runoff, all of that stuff. Another concern was that I couldn't find, there's retaining walls that are mentioned, some large swaths of retaining walls. I can't really see where they are on the plans. I think they might have been at least 90 feet. And I was wondering if we could find them on the plans and what they'd be made of and what materials they're going to be and how visible that would be to the rest of the canyon. Lastly, I'm aware that the owner of this property has bought in a few properties in our neighborhood. Most recently 2697, which is across in our loop. Property, there's already been some construction started there. Once I started researching, I was just curious what they were doing, and I can't find any permits. The only thing that really concerns me about this is I'm with the slope so much and a project so big, I want to make sure that all of the guidelines and safety procedures that have been in the past are followed.
Oh, thank you. Right, now we have Carolyn Milton.
Hi, I'm Sherilyn Milton, and I'm at 2622 Montrose. As you can see, we are a tight neighborhood, and I am passionate and protective about Mission Canyon. I've been there over 30 years, been evacuated maybe 6 times, many houses on our street burned, and my big concern is fire safety. There is no turnaround on Edgemount. I always know when it's Wednesday because the trash trucks back up because they can't turn around. And I don't want to go through another disaster where we don't have access to safe egress. And my husband stayed in our house at 2622 until 1110 Palomino burned to the ground. And it's just, it's too much for the canyon. That's what I got.
Thank you. Do you have any online speakers, Mr. David?
So let me just do my spill. If there's anyone online that would like to speak on this item, go ahead and raise your hand in Zoom and I'll call on you.
There's one, Tom. All right, Mr. Who do we have there? Tom Wolfer?
Pretty good, Tom Walliver.
Okay, I'll give you 3 minutes to speak, sir. Go ahead. We can hear
Thank
you.
you for the time. I don't think I'll take that long because I think the previous speakers really underscored things. We live at 1173 Edgemount, so we're right next to these two areas. We burned in Hayesacita fire. I came up a few days later and those eucalyptus trees, that whole area was still smoldering. So this is a high fire area. That whole area burned. I think you can see these pictures. This is the workers when they were taking down those eucalyptus trees for Mr. Tatman, completely blocking the road. At that area, I measured it this morning, it's only 14 feet wide. Above, it's 16 feet wide, well less than the usual recommended 10 feet per lane. And it's been previously stated, there's no access to turn around. Parking is going to be at a premium, which is going to be another issue. So we have been evacuated 3 times since the Hayesacita and 5 times overall. So again, we're in a high fire area and the risk is real. And I will yield my time.
Thank you, sir. Any other speakers online? All right, good. If anybody pops up, we'll let them back in to the conversation. I'm going to give the applicant a minute to respond to anything that you heard or maybe too. But before I say, I just want to remind everybody, this is an aesthetic board. We heard from some of you that, you know, you're pro build. That's great, but you have deep concerns about slope stability. That came through loud and clear. High fire access, limited in and out egress, a lot of issues there. Unfortunately, you know, their right to build is a foregone conclusion for us. The purview of this board is to work with the tools we have to make it work. So we're going to try to be constructive in that manner, but some of the comments were, you know, edging on whether or not it's a good idea to have two houses on this lot or not. It's a good argument to have it. I just don't think this board is able to mediate that or do anything about that. So we're going to be focused more on trying to work with what's there to make it as acceptable as possible. But heard your comments loud and clear. Really appreciate your participation today. It's a nice showing of the neighborhood and some clear issues to address. So I'm going to give the applicant just a minute or two to respond to anything you've heard before we go into comments.
Sure, thank you. Well, to all those comments, I think there's some confusion. These are two separate lots that have, each lot has one residence on it. So I think there was some confusion about that. And secondly, you know, the foundations for these houses, the drainage, all of these aspects are critical to the site and the design, and they're going to be studied, vetted, and approved ultimately by the building department. And we will have to show that they meet the standards for the slope and for the building code. So I think that in the end, overall drainage is going to be vastly improved. Safety for those houses below will be improved. And ultimately, access on Edgemount will be improved as a result of this project.
All right. If there's nothing further, I'll give it back to the board for comments. I'll go from left to right this time.
Actually, I just have a question. Have
Go
you
ahead.
run it by fire yet?
Yes.
Okay, and so are they requiring anything with the road widening or anything like that?
They haven't yet. We've worked with them to provide driveway configurations that can accommodate a turnaround.
Okay.
So
They're requiring any, so that you've already discussed a plan with them about how to access the driveway and turnarounds and so forth.
yes,
Have they recommended any new fire hydrants for the street?
there's one right across the street.
Have one right proximate to you?
Yes.
Okay. There's not much landscape for me to comment on yet, but I look forward to seeing your renderings and site plan work for that. So.
Okay, John?
Well, I don't fully understand the elevations. I'd like to see those rendered elevations also, because I mean, what I see looks fine, but you know, I don't fully understand it.
Yeah, I missed part of the presentation, so I'm not going to comment much. I did look at the drawings online. I do have the same question as to, I really don't understand the presentation very well in terms of I think the renderings, the 3D renderings probably explain it much better. I have a question about the slope. Is it 30 or 40%? What is the slope?
It varies over the site, but it is steep and over 30% in some.
So that is a visual thing that this board can comment on. It's a
I'll ask
steep
for that.
slope.
Yeah.
It does seem, you know, just by the numbers alone, it's a lot of development on a very steep slope. At first sight, it looks kind of bulky. I mean, with the understory and the 2 or 3 stories above, it does look like a steeper. Maybe it's just the way it's shown. I want to keep an open mind. It does seem like pushing the envelope, so to speak.
Strasser.
I had a question first about the retaining wall, that one of the, where is that?
Well, unfortunately, it's hard to see on these drawings. The drawings that
That you submitted?
that we gave to the planner didn't make it into this folder for some reason. But you can see that there is some retaining wall here that leads up to Edge Mound. And in our revised plan, we show this a lot more clearly how that happens and creates the walkway down to the front door, etc.
And how tall are those walls?
It varies from, there's a 6-foot section here, and then it gets sort of shorter as we come up to 3 feet.
Well, as far as my comments, I too will, it'd be better to see the renderings that you thought you had submitted. It looks like a lot of building for how challenging this site is. It seems like it could be reduced and it would help a lot of situations. But again, I guess I need to wait to see. I think it does look very boxy on the lower slope, which is unavoidable when you're going clear across the property on 30% plus slopes. So I'm having some trouble with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for sure eventually we'll get to story poles and all of that too, but it seems like you could cut back.
Yeah, my comment would be that it is a challenging site, but there's a lot of precedents for that. We build all the time in California on sites like this, and there's tons of engineering solutions that I believe you that you do have an opportunity to stabilize the site, control the water, and probably ensure a better kind of response to rain and other things, heavy rainstorms and further just degradation of the slope. But and it's just expensive. That's what it is. That's how that challenge is overcome, as you pour a ton of money into the foundation and the site, and a disproportionate amount. It becomes a very expensive house. I usually get into this, but I'll say it for the sake of this project. I'm just looking at, it's a 3-bedroom house. I see room for economization of space. So I do kind of agree with my colleagues here that it could be tucked in a bit. It feels a little stark. I've looked at your work before, and you do really nice architecture. And this isn't outside of that, but it seems a bit simple and a little stark. And I'm not sure if that's the client driving you that direction or it's you, but especially the stone tower just seems a bit overtly simple. Maybe if we're going to do that, maybe consider a flat roof, just keeping it all in stone, something to pull it in a bit. What's problematic to me is the lower sections, like the up, from the main floor up. You got a nice little house there, but there's a lot of skirting around that. It's just kind of, and I know this is what we end up with a lot of these houses. I think some kind of architectural treatment, the combination of your landscaping and how you intend to kind of nestle that sucker in there. I think we should have to say that you need to look at some ways to maybe even bring it deeper into the site without overly complicating the access from the street. But I think that's it. I guess you kind of heard the concerns. We need to move this forward for, I think, another conceptual review. I assume with the amount of interest in the neighborhood, we should have a story polling conversation, although I haven't heard any concern about view blockage or disruption of, like, it's not casting shadow on anybody. It's not doing that. So I'm wondering what the board's mind is on that. I mean, usually we story poll because there's an offense trying to be mitigated around, site views and public views, and this doesn't seem the case. It seems like what we've heard from the neighborhood is they want safety, they want slope stability, they're concerned about density and traffic and in and out egress.
Yeah, I think the story poles will indicate the density of the structure.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's beneficial for the neighborhood.
I'd like to see them take a swing at our comments before we
Yeah.
condition
I
that, so,
agree with that. for
okay.
sure.
Right, anything left behind that we need to talk about, or we have enough comments for the planning staff to make minutes? Right,
Yeah, I'm okay on my end.
I think
Alex,
this,
can I just add to my rendering comment that I think a kind of a context rendering from one of the public views towards the properties, I think would be really useful just to see how it fits in.
okay, so come back with the landscape plan. I think there's a kind of request here. You can handle this different ways. It's like a slope analysis on the site plan that maybe by color shows where we're going from 30 to 40 to 20 to whatever. And I think if he comes back with some colors and renderings, I think that's going to go a long way towards us fully appreciating the architecture. But I think there's some comments there to tuck it in a little.
But it's also something going to happen to the site that we're not seeing, like in terms of water management. I
Yeah.
think it's going to have caissons, obviously, so you're going to keep
I actually forgot to ask this. What's your grading situation? Are you doing a balanced cut fill here? Or are you exporting or importing? You got a lot of dirt coming out of
It
it.
says a lot of fill on the description.
You know, we're early. We know we're doing caissons. We're gonna have some spoils from that to use on site.
Hmm.
We're not sure yet.
Okay, I think it's going to be an issue at some point. So let's make sure
I
that
think
that
that
gets
maybe
in.
a preliminary structural
Yeah.
analysis may help everybody because, you know, retaining walls with caissons are usually a situation.
So I don't know if it's imperative that you bring that back the next time, but it wouldn't hurt. So I'd recommend a grading analysis, at least preliminarily. All right, we're going to move this on to the next item. Do the speakers, but just by raise of hands, do the speakers that spoke on this item want to speak on the next item again? Should I load you up again? Okay, so we're going to assume that the same comments, just for the record on this next item, are the same or very similar to the comments we heard previously, okay? If there's any further comment, I'll open up public comment in a minute and I'll let you guys add to that. So we're going to rerun this for the next project, like it's a separate project. So we're going to close business on item 4. And we're going to open up item 5, which is again the Tatum new residence. Can you ask the planning staff to just label those residents A and B from here forward, just so that we don't get confused about these, or do something to maybe add the address on there. So this very similar application, 300, a little bit less square footage, 373,741 square feet. Applicant, you want to make a presentation and we'll have questions and then public comment.
Sure. So a very similar project to what we just saw. Similar style, similar massing, similar approach in all ways. Slightly smaller overall, as you said. We could scroll down to the site plan. That's helpful to start. One more. So again, our driveway entrance here, garage here, little driveway court here, and steps down to front door. So again, same approach, minimize the visibility from edge mound, working with the grade to stay below the height limit, and similar, if we go to the elevation, similar treatment again. Sorry that we don't have the color elevations. They would have been a lot easier to read and much more helpful. In the last project, you mentioned that difficulty with that understory. In this particular design, we have the opportunity to create a little step back here, so there will be some variety in that lower story to break up some of that boxy nature that you mentioned last time. Similar material palette and as the other project. Sort of, they'll be sisters, but not, twin sisters, so to speak. So they'll relate to each other, but not, copies. So that's our intent.
All right. Anything else? Questions? No questions so
Yeah,
far?
Yeah,
Yes?
the site seems to be steeper than the other one. Is that correct? The drawing shows something like that.
They're, again, they vary. They are steep sites.
And the structure seems to be smaller, at least in profile. I mean, not just in square footage, but it does look smaller.
Well, this
Right.
site is a little narrower where the buildable envelope is. So it's a little more compressed.
Other questions? Is the garage allowed to be in the setback? And if so, well,
Or
how does that
I-
work?
I'm just not familiar with that. Is it, so it looks like it's allowed to be in the setback. You're not asking for.
It's actually a carport, right?
Yeah, this is the garage is back here.
Oh, sorry, I
This
was,
is a driveway.
Is it covered?
oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's not.
It's not covered.
Yeah.
This is just a
Okay.
driveway.
Any other questions? All right, so I want
Oh, one more question.
Go ahead.
It says 96 feet of retaining wall on this one. Where are they? That's a lot of feet.
What's retaining the building?
No, I don't.
And
think
there's a
that's
little
what
bit
that
there
means.
at the entry, right?
But these are site walls.
Site walls.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
are-
sure.
They are going to be retaining in order to create the stairway and access to our front door. We're going to have some retaining features around this portion.
Go
here.
to sheet A3.00, drawing 4. I think Valerie, what you're looking for is on that sheet. I was just looking at that. There you go. See that bottom drawing? See the step? That's a lot of retainage.
So we have to, so with this, we have some retaining.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like 96 feet on the site plan.
All right, I'm gonna reopen public comment. Do we have any speakers on this item today? Anybody want to get up there? And That's okay. Go ahead and state your name for the record and step to the podium, and then when you're done, visit with David here and he'll give you.
Okay, hi, my name is Amy Michelson and I live at 2624 Montrose Place. And we directly face this project. Just what I heard you say, that we were mostly concerned with fire safety and soil stability, which we are. But also, if this is a design board, we are terribly concerned about the design. This is 2 very small lots in a neighborhood, as you saw, where the houses are lovely and spread out as per the Mission Canyon Community Plan. It says development shall be sited, designed, and scaled to be compatible with neighborhood character, to protect visual resources, and to respect site constraints such as steep slopes. So we don't have any twin sisters in our canyon. We don't have this kind of house that looks like they're part of a development. They're nice, they're nicely designed in a different place. I just feel like they're out of place and out of character with the character of Mission Canyon and what is existing. And quite frankly, we look straight into it. And as my husband said, it's going to be 8,000 square feet, maybe a little less, very close together, which visually is going to create a very big monolith in a neighborhood where everything is lovely and rural and spread out. So that is really, it is a design concern. So that's just what I wanted to say. It's not just fire and soil stability. All right, I'll fill it out. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Do we have anybody online that wants to speak? Sir, please, to the podium, and we'll give you 3 minutes to state your name for the record.
My name is Michael Bailey. I live at 1116 Palomino Road, which is downslope from this development or proposed property here. My number one concern is soil stability. They have a slope there that, from my view, or downslope, doesn't accurately represent this slope. This is a really, really steep slope. Downslope, there's no picture of the retaining wall and what 176 feet of retaining wall is going to look like. That's both properties. The pictures that they present don't show the house directly below it. So when you have the pictures that they initially showed, they showed a house that is 2 houses down, not the direct house below it. And they did that because it doesn't accurately show the steepness of the slope. I don't think anyone in this room has been in that canyon during a major rainstorm. And that when there's a major rainstorm like that, there is a tremendous amount of water that's coming down from that slope. Drainage is a major issue, as well as mud flows and slippage. And back in 1994, there was a huge mudslide that came down from Edgemont down to the house right below it, right where this house is, or came down from where this house is, down the house below, and all the way down to Palomino Road. And unless that's addressed, we're going to have some major problems in Palomino Road and the properties below. Thank you.
Sir. If there's no further public comment, I'll bring it back to the board for comments. Unless you have anything to add. I just wanted to say something before we get into comments too.
Yes, to address some of the density concerns. So the planning department had us do a density analysis of the surrounding area as these are vacant sites. That's part of the process. And we're very much aligned with what's next door and what's next door to the next door neighbor and what's across the street. So our FAR numbers are very similar to what's been approved elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm not hearing that as being contested, but it's more, well, we'll see. So I think the point you're making is you've done some analysis of neighboring property and square footage, isn't it? I think what you're saying is the square footage of the house isn't inconsistent with what's in the neighborhood already.
Correct.
All right, we're gonna open up or do our comment, but I just wanted to add just a bit of housekeeping. Go to sheet A1.20. I just to add to this and the previous application, when we see this again, let's have you come back with the neighboring properties on either side of this. So your other proposed residents and then the existing residents directly to the southeast of that, I guess, if that's what I'm looking at that right. And then, you know, the edges of whatever, we just kind of need to get a picture of what's around this property. I'll leave it up to you if you wanted to go up and down slope, but we definitely should kind of be looking at this as a whole. Like this proposed lot next to it, it's just kind of not showing what we're trying to look at. And then I don't know what you have prepared in your three-dimensional renderings, but sure would appreciate seeing both houses in the same frame so that we understand. I think just generally the way you're presenting this as these sister projects, you're kind of obligated to do that to make sure it works, if that's how you want to proceed. But just in terms of what we come back with.
I have a question first.
Yeah,
On materials, what kind of roofing are you planning? Is it like a metal roofing or is it a shingles or what?
It'll be a metal roof, so a darker colored metal roof, not reflective.
And you show some stone, is it like a sandstone or sandstone? And I see plaster, and then there's also some siding too.
Yeah.
Hardy siding. I
So
imagine.
like a hardy.
I mean, like, okay, very good, thank you.
All right, Ms. Rusher.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say a similar thing about showing the neighborhood context. And what I'd like to see is a profile view from below, because from the road above, there's not much impact, right? There's just the garage, it's one story. But from below, the impact is large, and the context of the neighbor, of both houses and the neighbors, is what we need to see. I feel like the impact becomes bigger with them being sisters, and that you would do better if they weren't sisters. They are so close together, and I think that'll show when we see this profile view, that it increases their massiveness on these challenging sites to have them be so similar. I'm not sure I don't think that's helping the impact for the neighborhood. So.
Mr. Peugeot?
Yeah, I agree with that comment of making them different. I think that will help. But also the materials, I was wondering, I'm not so sure about the stone being so high. I mean, I know usually we're more used to having stone at the bottom, and then it becomes light, the materials become lighter as you go up. And so I'm not sure if that works as well. I would like to see maybe more of the hard siding and less plaster. I think that would help. And making them, the two houses different. For some reason, I seem to like this one a little bit better in the sense that it is, because it's narrower, but the site is so steep. I hope that I mean, once you start working the caissons and the retaining walls, I have a sense that something is going to change in the design. I mean, you're going to start working out things a little bit different. Maybe the understory might be different. It's less of an understory here, which works to your benefit. Anyway, I'd like to see how this design evolves. I'd like to see the renderings. I'm sure you've done more work on this. And once the structural starts becoming at least, more clear, I have a sense that this project is going to change. And I support the comment about making the two houses different.
All right, Mr. Verdiak.
Well, to carry on with that thought, this house utilizes the understory, where it seems like the other one, you build a platform and build a house on top of it, which makes the wall to the west really high. And I think if we look at the thing as Valerie suggested from down below, that's going to seem really out of scale. In other words, this project utilizes the understory as living space, and it seems like the other one could do the same, and that would reduce the amount of wall and understory space. That'd be my thought.
Okay, just a reminder to the audience, if you need to talk, please take your discussions outside. Our mics pick up everything in here. It's actually easier to hear you from there than it is from there for some reason. Some acoustical issues. Ms. Grubb.
I have the same comment that I just look forward to seeing more site plan development, especially on the driveways. It just seems, I'd like to see how this will actually function, and how that circulation will work to get that.
Well, I think you need to walk away with something definitive about this similarity issue. I'm in agreement with the neighbor who and my colleagues here that would like to see a unique solution on each site. I think that is a pretty clearly defined precedent in the neighborhood, and I think it's called for in this case. I'm not so concerned about them joining together and being confused, but well, I can see that argument.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see a unique solution and more variety. I'm kind of with you, Alex, too, that it just the circumstances kind of push this house around and make it a little bit more interesting. But I'm kind of struck with both of these as just being a little tight and stark. I understand you're doing a lot to tighten them up to keep the high fire issues at bay. You're a pretty damn good architect, so I know you can do pretty much anything that you set your mind to. And I would like to see more articulation and more difference between the two of them. Those are my major comments, but anything else you want to add? We have good comments are we bringing forward any of the previous comments? Like, just want to make sure that we don't imbalance this. We've got,
One comment, just
the-
like
I-
it's to have an arborist report if you're planning on removing those oak trees that are. Okay.
say out to the planner, I think the list of documents and drawings we're asking for on this project will be similar to what we asked for the last, so a slope analysis. Valerie added that she'd like to see a perspective from kind of the view below.
It shows the context. of
We're asking
all the-
for, more context, just to show the adjacencies of the both proposed and existing. What else did we ask for in the drawings? Renderings?
Yeah, and more development of the site that really shows where all the walls are. and
Yeah.
What, it can still be conceptual, but give us a site plan that. really
All right,
shows
so
what-
study of, come back with the materials, color palettes, the, any preliminary grading calculations that you have.
Mr. Chair, is there a consensus that the materials need to be developed more in terms of I just don't think the palette is working well right now.
Yeah,
Is that what everybody agrees?
well, you made a comment about the stone tower that kind of becomes the tower, at least if you look at it that way from this elevation. I don't have any argument with that. It feels heavy. It's a little bit like a Tuscan tower, and I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
I like the idea that you had of maybe the base of it being stone and then building a wood structure above it could lighten it up a bit and give it more. There's a lot of. Again, I think the three-dimensional view is going to help us really study that more precisely. So I think we've probably given this enough time. Definitely have the neighborhood's concerns aired out. You've made your arguments. I hope you guys will work together. I know this good person here that'll listen to you and come back holding hands, and it'll get a lot easier for everybody. But good luck to you. We'll see you back on full board for further conceptual.
Yeah.
And if you want to prepare for any kind of discussion about a story polling, I would advise you to be ready for that in the next meeting. I think that's going to come up again.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, a little bit of housekeeping issues. What's the quorum situation? I have to leave now. I'm waiting for the
So
plane.
item 6 is the one.
I have it
We have
set
one
down.
item
This is
and
the
then
one
we're
that we have
done.
a quorum.
At what time? Right now?
Right now.
Okay, I'll stay with you.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
All right. So the applicants for item number 6. I'm going to, in the interest of your benefit and ours, hurry this as fast as I can. 'Cause I just realized that Alex has got to leave here, so we're going to maintain quorum before he goes and get you guys through this. So if I sound like I'm rushing you, it's because I am. Just want to accommodate both parties, but I'll give you a fair hearing for
5
sure.
minutes. No, 10 minutes. Yeah, I mean, I look at the project online, it seems to be pretty well taken care of, so.
Okay.
I should go.
Right. Anyway, everybody's aware. You guys are probably going to do just fine. Okay, state your name for the record and let's jump in. We've obviously seen this before, and we're here again. A reminder that this is an opportunity for preliminary or final approval today. So is everybody here familiar with the project?
Yeah,
Okay.
we've seen it before,
All right, jump in and that's a good presentation.
Right. Hello, everyone. Elena Frazier, architect with Blackbird Architects.
And Ken Radke with Blackbird.
Rabbi Stephen Cohen, the senior rabbi of the congregation.
Elizabeth Gaines, the executive director of the congregation. And Martha Vinicius, our pages.
Has anything changed significantly from the last time we saw this?
No.
And I don't think you have to respond to all the compliments you got. Just let those lie. So the materials could be simplified with one that probably we should focus on. And then it says greater effort, period, odd shapes to work with, but it has been worked out and done comprehensively. So I don't know if that's a comment. Project will be very compatible with neighborhood, and it makes better use of very important resources in our community. So that's an opinion and not a comment. And then study. So the other one is study, adding a little bit more height. So the wing beyond the entry arbor. So I guess those two last things, probably let's focus on that and see if the board's in the mood to move this forward.
Sure.
I mean, in that case, if we want to really just cut to the chase, we could jump to the elevations of the sanctuary building, which I believe are, so we had, were the drawing sets merged or are they still separate as the way we submitted them? So there's an elevation, it's called 3-4 elevation set. And these are on page 1 and 2 of that set. This is the civil set, I believe. There should be, there's 4 separate A PDFs. So there's an A, a 1, 2.
This is what I have.
Okay. We're missing all the drawings then.
That's, come on, guys, really? Right
Looks
there.
fantastic, I'm just gonna say.
Right
You're gonna love it.
Do we have a planner that we can grab for this? Is there some? Did it get put in the wrong box? Can you look to see? Jeez. Come on.
Right.
Hello.
Planner is not present.
Oh, so we get with her.
I can see what I can find in her.
Okay.
Any paper drawings on that?
So there was a plan set in addition to this A cover images. There was elevation
Anything with you?
and details. So there's 3 additional A PDFs, and we have a printed set.
Perfect, that's not the problem.
That's not how this usually used to work, right? Yeah.
Forgot.
These are pictures. Stay up there in our bully pulpit. Okay. Which one are we looking for?
So you want to look for sheet A 3.1 and 3.2. Well, let's start with 3.1 because those are the elevations of the administrative building wing.
No, it's just pass it around.
Want to just, what's going on here? Anything that we were discussing? No.
Yes, so the roof height of this addition is, I believe, what the prior comment was addressing. And so the proposed roof height, it's 12 feet above finished floor. It's just slightly above the existing adjacent flat roof of the administrative wing, but about half the height of the existing steeply sloping roofs that are over the major gathering spaces in the sanctuary building. And when we looked at this project with you previously, sort of immediately outside of this new administrative addition, there's a revitalized arrival courtyard that had a steel shade canopy, an arbor that was proposed. One of the areas of the project that we really worked on with the congregation over the last year is the design of the arrival courtyard. And through that process, the decision was made to actually eliminate the arbor from the design. And instead, the courtyard is now just a beautifully landscaped outdoor space. There are 4 elegant trees that are proposed to provide the shade that the canopy or the arbor was providing previously. So I think maybe the height comment might have also come from its relation to that prior arbor that was proposed, and that's no longer here. So the height of the roof there is really the addition is meant to be a backdrop behind this arrival courtyard. The courtyard is really supposed to be the star. So that, you know, it's meant to be quiet and kind of in the backdrop. And the material palette, which you'll see on those elevations, I do think we have the building material palette up here. This is the site palette. I think it's the PDF just to the left, David.
Can it be a part of your presentation today, or we looked at that previously?
That canopy you have there is at the Central Plaza. That was previously proposed, and it continues to be a part of the project. One that was at the arrival courtyard that's been eliminated.
Okay.
Screen sort of makes our colors look purple. We're not proposing purple. This is probably a better representation.
You're a designer?
So there, because
It's an inside job.
you were also mentioning simplification of material palette. So, I mean, the material palette that's proposed at both buildings is identical, and it's following from the existing material palette that we're needing to work with, which is light colored stucco, and then a dark brown or bronze, wood and steel. So at the roof eaves, at the window frames, existing buildings have that same palette, and we're continuing in that tradition there on site.
Okay, any questions from the board? Do you have any public comment? Thing in the inbox? This appears by my standards to be a pretty comprehensive application presentation. We got details here, so
Yeah.
this is could be ready for a final approval today.
Very nice structure.
Yeah.
And I like the awnings are very good, look very good.
So let's can I get some comments on the items D and E? Do we have satisfaction around those issues? Anything to discuss there?
No, just that we support what they have done in terms of removing the arbor from the entry port and letting that be a planted space rather than a competing structure.
So we only have one problem here. The applicant just walked in the door with documents and we're on preliminary final, which we can't accept these documents. So
we can't.
These are identical to what was submitted
I
digitally.
know. So what I think what I'd like to
we
do,
could do is,
I know, but he's gonna leave. So
No, we can do this. We can approve it with the planner to verify that it's the same.
yeah, I was gonna say that, or I was gonna give it a chance to get whatever is missing.
It's nothing in our case file.
So Alex, Tuttle, give me some advice on how you want me to handle this so I don't get us in trouble.
If you want to do what Alex suggested, just with, approval with the planner to verify that the submitted plans match the digital submittal or something like that.
All right. Well, we've been pretty hard on people about this in the past, so that's fine. I'm going to request that you also have the planner forward those on to me, and I'll look at them. I'll just email back that they make sense. Since I'm chair today, that'll help. So just kind of come down on a few folks recently for that. And I want to make sure we're being comprehensive. Do I have
I'll make a motion to approve the process.
preliminary and final.
a condition?
That
Even
that
wanna-
the applicant, that the documents submitted matched exactly what was previously submitted at the.
Okay, so we want the motion to basically state that the final approval is submitted with the condition that the planner verify that the physical documents issued today at this meeting match the application that's actually being approved.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And for the record, I voted on that one. For quorum, so. So long.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got exciting.
Okay, we need like a stick post, I'm saying there.
I mean,
There's more.
Sorry, gotta go, guys, I'll be
I
back for,
the lands
for,
civil.
Yeah, we're moving, but now,
I gave them.
10, 11, that's it, right?
Thanks, Josh.
okay, I'll call you.
Sorry.
There's no moment.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Oh, good, you bet.
See you there. Every once a year and hang out here.
Every 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years, right. Anybody else going to that?
No,
You been?
no, I never have.
Oh, it's so fun.
Is it?
I don't know what it is. It's not that big of a deal, but it's just kind of
But
a
it's-
beautiful place and
Yeah, when is
Monterey Design Conference.
Oh,
It's kind of like the San Francisco crowd and the Southern California crowd kind of
it? Kind of
merge.
mingling?
Yeah, it's kind of California, CC, AIA. Testing, we're ready to resume. We good? So are we ahead or behind schedule?
That was the one that had a time frame, so I think it's whatever you want.
All right. Okay, then that, I guess, brings us to 7, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're on the home stretch, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and 11. Oh, we have a fun telecommunications facility at the end of the day. That to look forward to. Oh, great. All right, well, do we have our applicants ready?
Yes.
All right, we're going on to item number 7. Danchak Living Trust, new barn and attached carport. This is our first time we've seen this, I believe.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
But a presentation, let us know who you are, get us kind of oriented. Looks like we're out in the middle of nowhere here, so kind of, well, I don't know if that's fair to say, but we're out in some open space. So why don't you get us organized?
Yeah. All right. So Kaz Seefeld, architect for the project, proposed barn here. We're at 2900 East Valley Road. We're just west of the Posey Bond Ranch there on East Valley Road. So right where Toro Canyon and East Valley kind of meet, we're about 1/8 of a mile to the west. It's an 11.75 acre parcel. So there's 2 APN numbers. That's what the parcel goes all the way to East Valley Road. And there's like what is it called? It's a tax rate area line. So there's 2 APN numbers, and that's why it looks like it's divided, but the parcel actually goes from East Valley all the way up to the extent of that red hatched area. Might be helpful to, well, first off, that turnout, let's see if I can get the mouse here. This little turnout, if you can see my mouse, is the barn site that we're proposing. So if we can go to the site photos, I think it'd be helpful just to run through the photos. So this is a photo from, this first photo is from East Valley Road looking north at the parcel. Here we are looking west down East Valley Road. This is the barn site. That bottom image is the barn site. There's the entry gate to the home is on the right-hand side, a little hard to see. And then there's a gravel turnout on the right-hand side. And that'll be referenced on the survey and the proposed site plan, just kind of as a landmark. Next photos, please. Again, there's on the upper photo, there's that gravel patch turnout that I'll reference on the site plan and survey. So that's kind of the barn site looking east on the upper photo, and then the barn site looking south back at East Valley Road on the bottom photo. And then I think the last page of photos. Again, looking back at East Valley Road on the upper photo, and this is kind of the barn site on the bottom looking west. So if we can go to the plans, please. Like I mentioned, is an 11.75 acre site that has an existing single family residence with an attached garage and a studio. And here we are on the bottom left-hand side is the proposed barn site. If you keep going, this is like the complete site, but if we go to the survey and the proposed site plan, which should be coming up, yeah. So here's the partial survey. You can see that turnout labeled right there where I was referencing that in the photos. And then we go to the proposed plan. We're just doing a basic cut and fill. It's pretty, there's a site section right below on the same sheet that might be useful to scroll down to. So basic little cut fill on the site, basic barn. We can go to the floor plan as the next sheet. Roof plan, floor plan is a large bay, kind of a smaller bay, storage with an attached carport. Try to do a fairly comprehensive set for the conceptual plan. The next page has elevations that are 2D that show the materials. So the barn itself will be clad in wood, stained wood with the corrugated Core 10 roof. The barn garage doors, we're proposing Core 10 to kind of match that roof. And then the carport will be screened with a corrugated, it's a perforated corrugated Core 10 material that will be mounted vertically to kind of screen the tractors that are parked in the carport from East Valley, and green trim around the doors and windows. to match the house. And then the next page gives you kind of sections, building sections, and then some renderings that show a little bit of the material and are a little bit more. So the next page is the renderings. They're more architectural renderings than in the site, but gives you a sense of the building and the material palette and how all these pieces are coming together.
All right. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, any questions from the board? I have one. The perforated metal is going to be much more opaque than what's shown in the rendering. Just more of a comment question, but that looks like glass or like fabric. But actually, what you're talking about is what size perforation are you talking about in the corrugated?
It's exactly like that image on the elevation sheet. So 2 sheets back, and you are correct. That's just a limitation of the CAD program that we're using and trying to mask that as best we can in the 3D world without like overcomplicating this model. So in the upper left corner is that I ordered a sample of the material. You can see it there in the picture. And that's
I'm just curious, why doing that? Why not just go solid? It's just is it because it's cool looking or because you got a ventilator?
It's to give it some natural light without having overhead lights in it. I mean, not overhead lights, but just to give it some natural light to screen it and to break up the massing of the building mainly, so that it's not this extra long wood structure there, just to kind of differentiate it a little bit.
The green is the roof material?
The corrugated core 10 will be the roof. The green is we're going to use aluminum clad doors and windows besides the garage doors, and that there'll be a green.
Got it. All right, so the garage door and the window frames are going to be that kind of hunter green color. Oh, no, those are, okay, I see in the rendering now.
Yeah, if you look at the rendering, you'll see the garage doors are going to be a core 10 material, and it's just kind of the man door and those windows that have the green trim.
Got it. Okay, and do you have a note on there for dark sky compliant lighting anywhere?
I have a lighting plan. It's the last page.
You guys referencing the dark sky compliant ordinances? You making any mention of that in your drawings?
I don't think there's a specific mention of that, but the intention is that these are compliant.
All right, good. Do we have any other questions?
No.
Do we have any public comment? Okay, having heard no members of the public that wish to speak, I'm going to bring back to the board for comments. Valerie?
I think it looks good, and I'd like to see it come back preliminary final.
Okay, John, anything further?
No.
Ms. Grubb?
I should have asked, are you planning on proposing a landscape plan?
No, just some further grading and drainage information, but there's no plans to do anything specific at this point.
Okay, I think at a minimum, you'll probably need to provide some erosion control planting since you have a fill slope, it looks like.
Yes.
Be minimal.
Okay.
Okay, I don't think I have any comments either. I think it's an appropriate construction. It's great. There's something I was thinking about. I think I
mean, there could be some screen planting along that side.
I know in my comment was, yeah, I kind of looked at that. Val, I was trying to figure out how proximate it was to other neighbors. And it looks like if you go back to that aerial photo. I think the one comment I do have is make sure you include in your drawings the dark sky compliance ordinance language so that your plans indicate that they're complying with the county's ordinance on dark sky compliant lighting. Make sure your lighting is. Make sure if you're not familiar with that, study that, because it's a very specific orientation of the light source. Yeah, it seems like there's an existing amount of trees around that area. So, and I was looking at the neighboring property, and it's really not on their boundary.
Yeah, it's not near them.
It's kind of out there, just So I don't know.
Sorry,
Okay.
one last question. Are you planning on
You want to add the
protecting?
comment, just consider? screening?
Consider, yeah.
So I'd like to see this come back on consent for final and preliminary. If anybody, has any concern about that, the applicant's gonna need to bring some details to justify the window and exterior treatments, but that's it.
Also, if you're planning on removing any protected trees, specifically oaks, you'll need some documentation from the arborist for it.
Yeah, so the other note to the applicant is to note on the plans all of the existing specimen trees that are existing and or to be removed. And if any specimen trees are to be removed, add to the plans a remedy as per the county ordinances, and make sure your planner is in support of it. You're going to get a planner assigned after this. So
We already have one assigned and I have an initial feedback letter.
okay. So adding just Alex Tuttle, another comment to go in the record is the applicant to return accurate documentation of species trees, namely oaks or sycamores. And if any are being removed, need to provide mediation for those in order to approve. Okay, that's it. We're going to move on and close on this item. Thank you.
Thanks.
Item number 8, T&D Real Estate LLC edition. This is very long-winded project description, so everybody read that, please. So this is preliminary approval. We've seen this before. Okay, and do we have our applicants with us?
Yes, sir. Brian Banks here, agent for the owner. We also have Sophie Calvin and Sam Mathis.
Do you have any planner letters or anything like that on this thing?
There's a memo.
Let me look at that real quick. Planner memo. Okay. So got a long project description. No, you guys, anybody seen anything in this planner memo?
It's on the screen.
I'm just trying to figure out what I'm reading here.
So Brian,
It says any revisions to the project plans and any additional information regarding this project should be directed to my attention for further review for project consistency. An amendment to this notice will then be returned to your board. So what is that?
I can summarize for you if you'd like, Josh.
Sorry, Brian,
Oh, go
real
ahead.
quick. What that is saying is if you're directing any changes to the project, it's just kind of boilerplate language that we should be made aware of it, and we'll look at it for consistency.
Okay, gotcha. All right, well, let's get on with it.
So thanks, guys. This project, and I think one of the reasons we specifically wanted to have the memo as part of the record is that this was a project that required zoning administrator approval based on its beachfront location. And so it did receive ZA approval about a month ago, and everything went well. There were no requested changes to the project. And so essentially these plans are pretty much what you had saw the last time. Gosh, it's been months and months now. But we'll hand it over to Sophie. I think we've got all of the previous comments addressed if you want to read those in, and then Sophie can take you through. We do have 2 sets. I see you've got those, so we had to break it up into 2 sets because of the file size.
All right, let's do it. What are we waiting for?
He was waiting for you.
I'm not gonna, I don't want to read the comments.
I have the comments, Josh, if you want me to read them.
Yeah, I misheard you. I thought you were gonna use the comments.
Oh, sure. Okay, well, actually, we can do that to make it efficient. So the first comment was well executed, nice improvement. We accept that. Sophie, consider eliminating second-story light fixture in balcony. So we can go to that sheet. I believe in the PDFs, that is sheet 15. Sophie, you're muted. Sophie, we can't hear you. You're muted. There you go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I don't see the plans up. Do you want me to go through the list, Brian?
The plans are on the screen right now.
I don't see them.
Okay. Well, while you're getting that settled, I believe, board, there was that central balcony there that you see in the middle of the screen. I think previously we had lights up there, and those have been, or that light had been eliminated.
Okay, so on to item C, tower roof pitch is awkward and does not match style of house. Consider redesign.
So I think you can go, let's see, where do we want to go? I think go ahead and go down to the next page. And there you go. All of the elevations will have the revised pitch. I think as you might remember previously, we were trying to mimic this existing pitch and to keep the internal detailing inside. And so the previous design that you reviewed was more like the existing in the below image. And so we redesigned it to flatten that out. And I think they found a way to keep that interior, those interior wood details. Correct, Sophie?
Yeah, so there's an existing tower just to the right of the front door. And we extended the height of that, so we preserved the beams on the inside of that tower.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next item was the windows. They just wanted to make sure the detailing and the renderings and the overall look was being achieved.
Correct. So if you could do me a favor, I can't see the pages, but 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 is important because it's the color board and it has the light fixture on it.
So we spent some time, if you, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, if you go back up to part 1, I think Sophie's trying to point you to page 18 of the PDF. Yeah, there you go.
Are you looking at the exterior elevation?
Yeah, we have it. Can we see the window details that were in question? Where are those?
So those will be on part 2, page 8 of the PDF.
Okay. Let's look at the details.
And then next page, page 9 are more. I'm sorry, page 7 is doors.
And where's the details?
If you go to the hand drawing, there's a really good page that we have that is 13, page 13.
Part 1, page 13. Sorry.
Portions of the hand drawing versus the CAD.
There you go. So, okay, so what are we looking at here, guys?
So you had previously seen pages 11 and 12 hand drawings, and you said that it kind of didn't really work. So we, Bob Maloney, architect associated with the project, he created some really nice details on page 813. It has the chimney details, it has the wrought iron railing details, he has the door and windows details. These are all hand sketched, which will get CAD'd in the future, but just to give you an idea of the flavor and level of quality that these details represent.
And if you go back, there are 2 more hand-drawn detail sheets. There you go. So we're only on for preliminary today, per the BAR agenda. So we're kind of trying to split the difference and get you as much detail as we could to hopefully, be able to come back for final efficiently, but we're only on the agenda for preliminary today.
Okay, so any questions from the board? Any public comment from the public? Having seen no members of the public that wish to speak, bring it back to the board for comment. And anybody interested in making a preliminary approval, I would recommend this go to consent for final. If you can identify what is missing or needed, we're ready to do so. Anybody in the mood?
Yeah, I would make a motion for preliminary.
All right.
The fan hasn't talked.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table for preliminary approval as submitted.
I'll second it.
You have a second. All those in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So you have your preliminary approval. Return for consent, on consent rather, with, is there anything missing from this that we need? We have we need in landscape.
I'm just checking.
We've got,
We've got landscape in the set. We've developed quite a bit, but we've got a few more details, planting details to pull together. But if you want to just quickly look at the landscape plans, we've got,
We just make sure you guys come with details. Don't forget to bring your color palette and those things. Those are the final items. Usually the final items are lighting, detailing and palettes, and make sure that you've got full landscape set.
yeah, we've got a lighting plan. We've got the tree arborist and all of our tree notes and extensive landscaping. The beauty of this site is it's got such magnificent existing cypress and oaks and ukes and magnolias and jacarandas that we're just sprinkling a little bit around where we have open areas, but it's well covered, well shaded. That's part of the charm of what this site really brings to the table. So we're not changing any of that. We're only eliminating one jacaranda for the garage, and we're mitigating with 3 others in the plan. So we'll bring more extensive drawings, but we're fairly
pretty close
complete.
to final.
We're pretty complete.
Sam, it looks like you just don't have quantities yet, right? Is that what you're gonna add?
Correct. We don't have quantities. We're still, fussing a little bit around the main building, but we'll do that when we come back.
All right, well, you guys have an approval, so just show up with what you need for final and we're good. All right.
Thank you so much.
Everyone.
All right, item 7, Janchak Living Trust, newborn. Oh, wait, shit, where am I? Sorry.
Channel View property.
9.
Punchy here. 9, thank you, John. Okay, item 9, Channel View Property LLC accessory structure, Toro Canyon. We have our applicants here.
Yes, good morning. This is Reza Hadian. I'm from the Channel View property.
Okay, go ahead and let's see, we're here further conceptual. So we've seen this project before. So why don't you just
And preliminary.
and preliminary. So why don't you jump in? Let us know if anything's changed since the last time we saw it significantly. But other than that, please just kind of guide us through the SBAR comments from the last meeting and show us how you've resolved those issues, please.
Sure. So this project is proposing the ADU, gym, guest house, and cabana and pool. So last time we went through the plan, the design, and everything. I guess pretty much everybody kind of agree with it. But the main items that they had to ask me to revise, to remove the new additional driveway that it would access to this property, and also removing the parking, extra parkings that was there, and also that was the landscaping plan, which would integrate, kind of connects the main house to these accessory structures. So the new, the proposed driveway was eliminated, as well as the new parkings, and there is another set of the landscape plan which has been provided to show the connection between the main house and the accessory structures. So if we can, and also they ask for some site pictures. So we can start with that. If you go onto the page 4, please. So this has the overview of some site pictures that where they're taken and how it shows. So the area of the proposal is between 3 and 4. So the number 1 is looking through the side road that it connects the main driveway to the accessory area. And you see on the left side is the entrance, and the gravel road, it access to the new ADU area. And picture number 2, it shows the driveway or the entrance of the main house looking through the street. And number,
I'm just gonna stop you. Can you just go through the comments? We've already seen the project.
okay,
I want a representation of it. I want you to go through comment A, B, C, D, and E and show us how you resolve that so we can move forward.
okay. If you look at the site plan, which would be on page 8, the driveway, the second driveway has been eliminated, and the turnaround for the fire department has been provided, and we also have approval from the fire department. And also, if you go to the page 19, that I would show.
Let me help you out here a little bit. Okay, project appears like a separate residence by having all the accessory structures condensed together and isolated from the main residence. Planning staff to confirm that the configuration presented is allowable by code. So your planner is Catherine. Did Catherine validate that statement? Do you have any news from her or documentation that we have what we asked for here?
Josh, this is Alex. So that's in part why they eliminated that second driveway, to separate driveway, to have it relate better to the main residence and not read as like an entirely separate development.
Okay, so
but otherwise, yes, it is, there's nothing that requires a certain proximity of accessory structures to the main residence.
okay, so perhaps that nullifies that comment. The other comment was look to tie development together with landscaping design. So can we talk about that next? Show us how landscaping is tying the project together. And then while you're at it, show us how screening from Toro Canyon Road will be improved.
Okay, so this plan shows the landscaping from the main residence, that you can see the gate that is coming in and its extension out to the other gravel road, that it's all been landscaping which connects these two. And if you go one page up, please, that also is showing the other way on page 18. Yes, that shows the screening plans from the Toro Canyon, that it would block the view of the structure from the Toro Canyon Park Road.
Okay, and then provide entry gate details. Can you show us those?
The entry, we eliminated the entry gate, the second entry gate.
Okay, very good. All right, so any questions from the board? Okay, any, yeah, go ahead.
So,
I want to actually open up discussion about the completeness of the landscape drawing.
okay, yeah, that's it.
So, all right, so any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? Okay, we're going to close public comment. It seems like our issues have been mitigated. This applicant's in line for the preliminary approval today, but I think like before we should close business on this, we need to give them a very clear list of what they need to bring back for final, because I've seen this already. So
yeah.
Can you guys help me with that on the architecture side and the landscape side? If anybody's in the mood to make a motion, I just want to make sure that we're guiding these guys back with 100% of the documentation they need.
Well, I'll make a motion for preliminary with comments of what to bring for final architectural details, color board materials, lighting with dark sky compliant lighting,
And then grading calculations.
grading. calculations.
Yeah, hold on.
Excuse me if I can interrupt. They are all provided in this package.
Hey, you're out of order. Stop talking, please. Okay, let me let you know if we need you. Let me get my board through comments. We can talk. We're not going to talk over each other. Hold on.
Sorry.
And then actually, if Kaylee wants to make comments about the landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what should be on that list?
So what I can't tell from your landscape, the
Still
most
something.
complete landscape plan I can see is a 2.2, I guess, for site plan, and it's not showing any pedestrian circulation. And so if there's any additional hardscape improvements proposed outside of the building footprint and the driveway circulation, those need to be shown with materials and details. And then the plans don't seem to be coordinated for the fire hammerhead. Some of the site plans have it and some, but I don't see it coordinated with the planting plans. So more clarity on that would be requested.
So those are two comments. I want to make sure the planner gets those. We got one for pedestrian pathways and hardscape that need to be noted on the plans inside the building envelope, right? Or
Yeah.
inside of what envelope did you say?
Sorry, say what your comment was again?
You said you want pedestrian pathways and hardscape noted inside of some.
Oh, just
envelope?
connecting the structures. I get, our
Okay.
comment had been to show connectivity between the two structures.
Okay, so.
And I only see that connectivity for vehicular access, not for someone
Okay,
actually
so-
circulating.
So the comment again is we need to see pedestrian pathways in all hardscape proposed. And
Mm-hmm.
then the second one was,
Yeah,
we need to see on the plans, evidence of or proper documentation of the fire department turnaround.
and coordinated with the planting plan and all landscape plans.
Okay, so those are comments. And then in terms of drawings or documents that are needed,
So we need a full planting plan, which they have. One, we also need irrigation plans related to those.
okay, so the applicant needs to
planting
return with a full planting plan showing sizes, species, and quantities of plants and their locations, plus we need an irrigation plan.
Which they have some, but there's gonna be,
They have wheel counts.
I don't see wheelo caps or irrigation plans.
So we need a wheel cap with the irrigation plan.
But back to the planting plan, it seems that they're showing tree and screening planting, but planting directly adjacent to the new structures is not shown. So just generally more complete planting plans, or if there's areas to remain, noting that, because right now it looks like the ground that's disturbed for the construction will not be repaired with anything.
Okay, so there's a comment, we need landscape remediation in areas of soil disturbance, and planting adjacent to the building is not shown, right? So,
That's what that's,
so we
Is,
need-
is this,
if the applicant has more input, that
is it ready for preliminary if it has this many landscape comments?
I'm gonna say it has to
it
be
needs to come back for full board, just so we can review it.
Right.
I
Okay.
also would confirm, this is a minor detail, but I'm not sure that cypress trees are going to be approvable in the fire zone.
Okay.
Is this high fire?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So take a look.
Okay, and just on advisement, I recommend you bring the landscape architect who's doing these plans to the next meeting to present their work. It'll probably go a lot better for you if they're here. Are they here today?
No, they're not.
Okay, very good. All right, so we have a kind of a list of items that we can review here before we're done, but I'm recommending someone make a motion for preliminary approval, return on full board for final. If those
Okay,
aren't-
then I'll stay with that motion I made
Okay.
with
You-
all of those comments.
you wanna second that? Okay.
Sure. I'll second
Okay, we have a second from Scrub. All those in favor of preliminary approval with those conditions?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. So before we close business on this item, I want to talk through this with the planner, make sure we have the list. You want to give that a shot, Alex?
Thank you.
Here's what I got. Return with details, including colors, materials, lighting, and landscape details. Show details for pedestrian pathways and hardscape between residents and accessory structures. Return with full landscape plan showing sizes, species, quantities, irrigation plan. Planting adjacent to structures or in graded areas is not shown. Landscape plan to be coordinated with driveway extension and hammerhead turnaround, and restudy tree species to ensure they're appropriate for a high fire hazard area.
All right, very good. Okay, so we'll see you next time for a final approval.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Okay, we're on to the next item. Robinson Family Trust. And is conceptual, is this the first time we've seen this, folks? Okay. All right, do we have our applicants?
Yes, Sean Lynch here. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead and state your name for the record, kind of locate us on the planet here, and then
Absolutely. Yeah, my name is Sean Lynch. I'm the designer for Gary and Leslie Robinson. The project is located at 2559 Whitney Road. You may remember this lot. The Hills residents next door with Anacapa came across your board probably 6 months ago. So Gary, my client, was one of the clients, the neighbors who were directly affected, and they kind of, I'm sure you probably remember the name, worked really hard to kind of push and pull. And so we are now working on Mr. and Mrs. Robinson's deck extension, very minor project. So it's the dead end here of Whitney. This lot right across from, if you remember Daryl Beckers, who has the big lot up there. So going into the scope of work, I'll just quickly go through the project description. So what we're looking at doing is extending and rebuilding an existing upper level deck. The deck doesn't align with the level below. So all we're doing is aligning the deck. So it's a 3-foot extension to the south towards the ocean. And with that, we're going to be rebuilding the existing railing and deck. Everything is going to match existing colors, everything as kind of existing right now. With that, we're going to rebuild the wood trellis. So within the trellis, we're going to add a couple infrared heaters. And then if you're aware, it's facing directly south. So it's pretty exposed to the elements. So part of that is just extending that trellis out that 3 feet as well, just to get additional kind of seating. And then on the deck below, we're just going to be putting in a couple more infrared heaters and some lights, and there'll be can lights within the floor plate. So if you want to go to, I guess, do you have the plan set here? Or do you need me to share mine? Oh, hello? Do you have anyone? Hello?
Okay.
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, just one sec.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect. So yeah, it's just a modest 3-foot extension of the deck, rebuild the railing as existing. You'll see once we get to the photo sheet, you'll see everything is just matching existing. So very modest, minor. We have talked with the Hills. The Hills are in support. Part of the Robinsons supporting the Hills project is they would work with us, and they really are the only neighbors that would be affected. And yeah, there's no real issues here. So, and I do want to just know in the project description, the plan calls out for the residents at 2,843. I just want to know, as you can see here, the actual primary residence, or sorry, the project description called out at 3,243, but the residence is actually 2,843 with a garage. So we just want to make sure that noted that the residence is actually 2,843. So going into the
Hold on. Let's see. Do you have any questions?
No, but I'm still not clear.
Yeah, no, I'll still go through the presentation here.
I thought this was simple. Let's go.
Yeah, well, okay, here we go. So here's the existing railing. You kind of see the elements, existing trellis. We're going to be rebuilding that. Next page. Thank you. And so here you can see existing on the right, proposed on the left, just extending it out 3 feet. Next page. Again, you can kind of see really just extending it to align, as you can see right at the existing elevation, it's 3-foot setback. We're just aligning everything here. So that's essentially, yeah, the elevation there. Next page. Again, you can kind of just see existing proposed, just, aligning these faces up here on the south. Next page, please. So again, here you can kind of just see there's no major structural issues. We're just obviously new posts and beams. There's no foundation work, anything like that. So you can kind of see here's a trellis on the left top. You can see these 2 infrared heaters, and then the floor plate below for the deck. We're adding just 6 can lights and 2 infrared heaters down below. Next page. Here's just, additional detailing of, we're just cantilevering out this little 3 feet here. And then just, a little bit more substantial of a trellis, just to, make sure we support all the infrared heaters and just additional screening. Next page. And then here is just kind of the infrared heaters that we're proposing. Next page. And then just structural. So that's essentially the scope of work.
All right, any questions?
Nope.
Do we have any members of the public who want to speak on this item? One letter. Okay, let's get to that. What's the letter say? All right. Is it
Summerlin.
support?
No.
Well, he knows that he's a member.
Okay, so from who? Richard Johnson and Jim Whitmore.
Yeah.
The full 4-foot addition is visually too wide, should be shortened. Existing massing seen from below, better visual protect. New heater should be recessed. Less boxy design, softer white would help. Okay, so all right, any other members want to speak? We got the letter. All right, I'm going to close public comment. Back to the board for comments. No comments? Anybody want to move this on?
Well,
They have a lot of comments from the Summerlin board.
I probably agree with the comment about infrared heaters, but I actually
Yeah.
think that it's an improvement to that elevation to have the overhead trellis.
Yeah.
And the extension isn't very,
It's not very big.
I'll make a motion to approve for conceptual and come back on preliminary final full board.
Let's actually, you can give it a preliminary.
No, we
I
can't.
We can't do that.
I didn't quite catch that comment to, Kelly, if you could restate those.
So let me ask this differently. I'm gonna provide, ask these folks back on consent for preliminary and final. Is everybody comfortable with that?
Yeah. Are they recessing the heaters?
Looks like it to me. They're in the soffit.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay. So,
it looks recessed.
yeah.
So I guess
Then
that's
my
it.
comments would be, yeah. All positive comments, and seems like it ties into the existing residence well.
All right, so no comments
Come back
beyond
on
that.
preliminary final.
All right.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
so was that on consent or full board for preliminary final?
consent.
Consent.
Great, perfect. That'd be great. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna close business on that and open up the last item of the day, which will be item 11. Item 11, AT&T new tier 4 telecommunication facility, Carpinteria. So do we have our applicants here? This
Yes, I'm here.
conceptual review, I believe this is the first time we've seen this item.
Yes.
All right, go ahead and make your presentation, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Jerry Ambrose. I'm here on behalf of AT&T. We are proposing a 70-foot high antenna support structure designed or disguised as a eucalyptus tree. It's set back approximately 1,600 feet from Foothill Road. And so it won't be, visible to the public from an obvious viewing standpoint. It's set back quite a bit up there, kind of behind the high school. There is an equipment cabinet and a standby generator, and all of those are behind an existing fence. Again, that can't be seen from the public. And there's not much else to it. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Back on that aerial view, where is it on that aerial view?
Page 2, please, Alec, or David, right there. So you see those two black dots at the top there. You zoom in on that square in the middle of it. There we go. You see it there?
Yeah.
Right to the left. Yeah, and I taped it off at approximately 1,600 feet from where Foothill makes a bend down below.
Okay.
It's kind of like just about, it's kind of sandwiched between some greenhouses here on either side.
Correct.
On the aerial, I don't get where it is. On the aerial.
Is Willow on the call?
I think it's right here. Right between, right at the top of this edge.
Okay.
No. Okay.
Right, kind of right where the color changes there. Yeah, you're right up in there.
Yeah, okay, good.
So David said will of the planners not on the call. So Jerry, do you know, I just want to confirm that, because we run into this on other communications projects, that the noticing, can we confirm that the noticing went out to in the proper avenues?
That's a little garbled. I couldn't quite understand what was being asked.
Well, I guess until he submits for the land, we just then have had to start over with these when they weren't properly noticed.
There was a pretty robust noticing. It
There
went
was
out
notice.
to like 1,000 feet.
Okay, just wanted to make sure it went out. Okay.
Does anybody want to recommend any landscaping around the fencing, around the equipment? I don't see any being provided.
Yeah, it literally can't be seen from the public, just, I think, as I already said, but your discretion, obviously.
I think when you come back, well, that'll be a comment then. Are we commenting?
Here's a question. Can it be seen from the Carpinteria track? It's really close.
All right, so that's the end of questions round. Is there any members of
I
the
just
public
asked a
that wish to speak on
question.
this item? Oh, well, we'll come back. No public comment? Okay, so no, you don't have any letters, no public comment. All right, go back to questions.
What does it look like? What's the elevation?
Like that. It's like a terrible.
There's photo simulations as well. Just adding.
You have a photo sim in
Oh,
here?
that's what I was gonna ask for, but I don't see
I
them.
don't see them in the
set.
file. I'm not seeing them.
And my question was, is it visible from the Carpinteria track? Because that's actually a public area with lots of people. Seems pretty close to it.
Yeah, I would have to get out there and get photos from there. The photos that we took were just from the public roads.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot further away to the road,
All right, so
but that's a big public facility.
Yeah, there are a lot of trees and other things. I'm not honestly just not sure. I'd have to go back out there and get some photos from that vantage point.
let's get our comments in. So go ahead, Val, just start us off.
Well, that would be my comments, that I'm concerned about its visibility from Carpi.
Okay, so you'd like to see a photo sim from that location?
Yeah, the track is at the back corner there.
Okay.
With bleachers and, lots of people.
Okay.
So,
Anything else?
and there could be some landscaping around the fence.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
and I would defer to our landscape architect
Yeah.
for
John?
specifics.
Can that top be tapered a little
Yeah,
bit,
it's a little like it got hacked off.
instead of looking as if it was chopped off?
So additional planting above the transmitters to kind of round it off a little. Looks like a flat top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
Those are actually my 2 comments. So I agree with Val on additional screening depending on how it fits into the view from the Carpi.
All right.
And the flag top.
Alex, I'll give you the final word to kind of tie off anything you want to read back comments, make sure we have what we think we said.
I just have a study visibility from Carpentry High School, show fit photo simulation from the track. Provide landscaping around the fence and top of photo tree should be rounded off.
All right, good. I think that's it. We'll see them back here for full board for conceptual. With you guys want to agendize it for preliminary, final?
Well, so it requires, we need to act on the CUP first for getting preliminary. So conceptual is kind of as far as you can take it for now.
All right, very good. Okay, we'll close item number 11, and that completes our agenda for today. Any final discussion before we make a motion to adjourn?
Nope.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. S-Bar is adjourned. Have a nice weekend.